Boswell'S Galloping Farmers, Episode 4. Nobody loves a Grenadier.
"60 years it's been. I can't quite believe it myself. You live your life, you think it's all behind you, but it's still there, inside you. The sights, the sounds, and the smell of it all. Aye, the smells. I've read a lot about it, the Gallipoli campaign, but I've never found anything that tells the story of what it was like for the ordinary ranker. I just think it's time somebody tell that story." We discovered the next morning why the Turks had managed to suddenly hit us with those close calls the night before. The observers made a very close survey of the Turks' front line, and they spotted some new loopholes. Small gaps made in the sandbag parapets of their trenches, just big enough for a rifle barrel to poke out and a sight to see through. 5 in all at different points along the trench top. A few bullets came flying close over the top of our sap for these new positions. The observers confirmed it was them from the gun smoke from the rifles firing from them. We worked out that these new positions had been opened up, and they must have rifles set up on tripods behind them. The shots that had been fired apparently pointlessly over our heads were ranging shots. They were setting up their tripods and fixing their positions during the day so that they could be locked in, and at night, when we had to stick our heads up to see what was going on, they would fire them off at irregular intervals, hoping to catch one of us with our heads exposed above the parapet. This was how they'd managed to get so close to hitting us the night before. We set about chucking bombs at them to try and shut them down, but we didn't manage it. A combination of the distance, about 35 to 40 yards, and the fact that the Turks had strung a lot of barbed wire a few yards in front of their trenches which caught the bombs, meant that they exploded too far out to be able to damage the loopholes themselves. I nipped back to one of our own sniper positions and had a word with the sniper, one of the Fusiliers, who was equipped with a periscope sight for his rifle that allowed him to take pot shots and stay safe behind his sandbag defences. He thought I'd gone mad when I told him what I wanted him to do.
"What? You want me to shoot the sandbags, no the Turks?"
Aye, I want you to shoot the sandbags to stop the Turks shooting us. Here's the bullets.
What the hell you done to these?
I just cut the tips off them with a pair of wire cutters. You know what these'll do?
We need tips on them. The bullets will spread out when they hit and wreck the sandbags, and all the muck will fall down into their loopholes and block them up.
Good man. Fire when ready.
I nipped back to our own trench with him, and he got himself set up as I got my own periscope up to watch. He set his sights up and fired his first shot. It hit a sandbag above one of the firing points, and a steady stream of muck and sand immediately began to stream out and block up the firing hole. The first shot was quickly followed by others, and we could see sticks trying to poke out through the quickly blocking holes as the Turks tried to clear them. But with a few sandbags pouring their contents out above each hole, they had no chance of getting them cleared again. Our wee squad were laughing amongst ourselves as we watched the holes fill up, one after the other. Our sniper was just about to open up on the fourth hole when...
"Sandy, say, bombing officer."
What the hell do you think you're doing, Barclay?
Well, sir, as you well know, we had a new hazard dealt to us last night and had 2 near misses and 1 man wounded for these new Turkish loopholes. We identified the danger and we tried to tack them out with bombs, but it didn't work, so I'm trying another way of doing it, which was working.
You are breaking all the rules of civilised warfare, man!
Sir, I am not using the adapted bullets against enemy soldiers. The snipers are only shooting sandbags to stop the enemy soldiers using normal bullets against us.
Barclay, you and your men will kindly remember that I did not visit your bomb sap this afternoon and this conversation did not happen. Oh, and post a sentry to make sure no one else comes into your trench unannounced while this is going on.
Yes, sir. Understood, sir.
And he turned and left. The rest of the squad were looking at me with a mixture of shock and anger at the absolute stupidity of the meeting. Civilised? So it was alright to blow a man to bits, but not to shoot at a sandbag. Before anything else gets said, I turned to the front, periscope at the ready, and said,
In your own time then, sniper.
He shot me a quick thumbs up and got back into his firing position. A short time later, he'd shut down the rest of the Turks' shooting holes, and we'd no further bother for that source. The mornings often brought us surprises, mostly no very nice ones. One early morning before dawn and without warning, several bombs exploded all at once just outside our bomb sap. Three or four Turks must have crept up close to us for their own trenches under cover of darkness. No spotted by any of the observers, and thrown a salvo of bombs at us simultaneously. Fair shook us for a minute, but luckily they all exploded outside our trench, and we lobbed a few grenades back at them over the top of our trench, which must have sent them scurrying back to their own trenches, since no more bombs followed. When daybreak came, we saw that the rain wasn't as bad as we'd thought, and our luck was even better than we'd thought, when we found one of their bombs unexploded on the floor of our sap. It was like our cricket ball bombs, but much better designed, since it had a wee device fitted which allowed it to be lit and thrown by one man on his own. Our bombs needed to have one man to light the fuse and another one to throw it. I defused and disarmed it, and I stuck it in my pack as a souvenir. I've still got it. On another night, a message came along for the sergeant in charge of the troop who were manning the front line to our left, looking for help. So I went over to see what was going on. When I got there, he said to me,
We've got a sneaky wee sniper out there. He's in a shell hole, out there beyond our wire. And since he's on the downslope of the hill, when our sentries pop up to have a look, you can see them outlined against the skyline with the moon behind them, and he's taking pot shots at them.
I moved into the left side bomb sap and managed to get to a point where I could keep an eye on the area in front of the main trench. After a wee while watching, I had his position fairly well spotted from watching for the flash of his rifle when he fired. He was too far away from the bomb sap I was in for me to reach him with a bomb, so I went and got 3 bombs and brought Archie Kerr back with me as my lighter, and we went back along the trench to the 3rd firing bay. I had a wee chat with the sentry on duty there, and he said he thought he had pinpointed the shell hole that the wee scunner was using in the same spot that I'd decided on. Archie lit one up, and I threw a bomb out to the area. A few seconds later, the sound of the explosion told me that the bomb had gone off on open ground. Archie fired up another one, and I adjusted my throw. This one definitely exploded in the shell hole that I was going for. We stayed on that part of the front line for about another 20 minutes in case we'd got it wrong, but nothing else came for the sniper, so we set off back to our own bomb sap. We were just making our way back along the trench where I'd met the sergeant when the officer in charge stopped us. Apparently, somebody had told them what we were doing, probably somebody glad that we were trying to stop the sniper firing at them. But he was raging. His opening challenge was,
Who the hell authorised you to bring bombs into my trenches?
I was asked to come and help take care of a sniper by the sergeant in command of the troop who were under fire from him, and with his full knowledge.
The next 5 minutes, he ranted away at me, telling me that he didn't want to see anybody carrying bombs in his sector of the front line again.
If I ever hear of you or one of your men carrying those makeshift exploding jam pots anywhere near my trenches again, I'll have you on a charge quicker than you can get your boots on. Do you hear me? Do you understand? You bloody bombers. I said, is that clear?
I kept my mouth shut.
Dismissed. Now, get the hell out of my sight.
We bombers were pretty unpopular to be around. We were always avoided by the other troops, especially if we were carrying bombs at the time. You'd think we could blow ourselves and name up at any minute. We went back along the trench to our own bomb sap, with Archie muttering a few words about the officer that would have got him sherrick by his maw. I didn't care. I got a message for the sergeant that the sniper had been silenced. It's a job done. During this piece of action on this sector, Sadly, we also had the only bomber in my squad killed. 2 in my squad were sick as dogs and had to be relieved. Their replacements were Trooper Gilchrist and a well-kent face, Hughie Drummond. Hughie was the oldest son of a well-known family of Ayrshire cattle breeders from Bargower and an old pal of mine. We'd been in the same class at school, and I was really chuffed to have him with my squad. Hughie and Gilchrist joined up with us late in the afternoon and took their usual turns on the sentry duty during the night, beside one of the experienced bombers. I never slept much during the night, as this was the most likely time that we'd get attacked. But the night had passed without much happening, so after breakfast the next morning, I followed my usual habit and had just got down to a wee snooze when I got shaken awake.
Sandy, Gilchrist has been killed.
What? Who, the new lad?
Aye, him, come on.
I ran off to the sentry position, followed by most of the rest of the squad, and found that the poor soul had been shot through the head.
How did this happen? Look at me, man. How did he get shot?
He was he was
Come on, man. How could he get shot in the head?
he was sniping out the front of the sap. I tell him he was only supposed to, but
Sniping? How? What are my standing orders?
only periscopes during the day, nae sticking up your head up and nae sniping out the bomb sap.
Aye, nae bloody sniping at the bomb sap. Do you know why? Do you? I'll tell you why. Because the Turks have got snipers too, and they are better at it than we are. They're just waiting for some idiot to stick their head over the top of the sap so they can get him. And you let him. You should have stopped him. You should have known better. A new man to the squad and he gets killed by a bit of stupidity. I can't believe this.
I had a good rant at the squad about keeping to the rules laid down and following orders in future, and I especially tore into the man that had been on duty along with Gilchrist when he was killed, because he was the experienced man and he should have known better and stopped him from sniping for that position. It was a sore lesson for us all to learn. About the middle of the second week in December, about 8 or 9 weeks after we'd first landed in Gallipoli, our regiment was relieved and we moved back down to the rest camp. Although when I say rest, we still had to perform all the usual fatigues. Unloading and stacking stores and supplies and digging communication trenches and shelters. And my lads and myself were assigned to training new bombers. Because although we were now known by the much fancier title of Grenadiers, the job was still the same. Still, it was good to be out of the lines. My squad had been in our 2 bomb saps for just over a fortnight, with just the 1 day off when we were brought back and issued with winter clothing before we all froze to death. I attended the doctor's parade when we arrived, because since that time when we'd been in the blizzard, the toes on both my feet had been steadily getting more painful every day. The doctor told me to put my feet in the sea for an hour at a time, twice a day, which, as well as excusing me for fatigues for a couple of hours each day, also worked. And after a few days, the slight frostbite that had been the cause of the problem disappeared. When we'd been in the rest camp before, it still hadn't been the safest spot. 2 or 3 men might have been able to move about without getting a shell dropped on them, but any larger group moving about, or even sitting and relaxing, would attract the attention of the Turkish artillery and would get shelled. This time, things had improved a bit, since a good number of shelters had been built, dug into the ground and covered over with corrugated iron and sandbags. The new shelters gave us good protection for the weather and cover from the increasing intensity of Turkish shelling. It was getting worse, because we had heard that the Serbian army had been defeated, and this meant there was nothing in the way to prevent reinforcements coming down to the Turks from their allies, Germany, Austria and Bulgaria. Some of the reinforcements seemed to include bigger guns, and the story going round was that Bulgarian infantry and Austrian guns and howitzers had joined the Turks and were now increasing the bombardment on us. That was all we needed. Our time in the rest camp ended a few days before Christmas, the 20th I think, and we were moved back up to the front line. The nature of the battle meant that it was always changing, with advances being made and then pushed back again, as had happened with the trench that we'd taken a few weeks before. When we got back up, we found that it was now back at the same position that it had been when I was first in the line. strung across the horseshoe of the Krithia Road, with its right flank resting on the small nullah. All the trenches on the line had been given names for back home. It helped with easy and quick identification and gave us a wee connection to home. There was a wee plank bridge across the Krithia nullah that was known as the Brigadoon, and a wee shelter beside it was called Burns's Cottage. Our new positions were in close support of the other two bomb squads that were occupying bomb saps right in front of the front-line firing trench that had been christened Argyle Street. And as daft as the real one could be on a Saturday night out in Glasgow, our Argyle Street was a lot more dangerous. We were in the shell trenches on either side of the communication trench which ran up to Argyle Street, and right behind it. We only had the built-up earthworks at the back of the front-line trench between us. The weather was rotten, wet and cold for the next couple of days, and then it suddenly improved quite a bit. The Turkish artillery, on the other hand, was getting more active every day, and we were kept busy digging ourselves in further, improving and deepening our trenches. We were getting a bit short of senior NCOs, so I was now on regular night duty as orderly NCO with the duty officer when he made the rounds of the sentries stationed in the firing bays at frequent intervals during the night. On one of the nights, I was getting ready to do the rounds with Captain Dunlop.
Barclay, just before we go, can I have a word?
Yes, sir. Of course, sir.
Barclay, it's my privilege to inform you that you have been awarded the Distinguished Conduct Medal for your part in the attack of November the 15th.
Really?
Well done, Sandy.
I mean, thank you, sir. That's great news, sir.
Thoroughly deserved, Barclay. You made a huge contribution to the success of the attack.
Thank you, sir. Will they let my dad know about it?
Indeed they will, Barclay. Your father will receive a letter informing him of your bravery and conduct, and of the award. I'm sure he will be very proud of his son. Do you know that this is the first medal ever awarded to another ranks member of the Ayrshire Yeomanry?
No, I didn't know that, sir. Thank you, sir. And that's good that they'll let my dad know. At least then he'll know I'm safe and well.
Yes, he will. You can tell your comrades when we return from the inspection round.
If you don't mind, sir, I'll maybe keep it a bit quiet for now. They would only be ribbing me about it. You know what I mean?
As you wish, Barclay. Good man, good man. Now, let's go and get the rounds done, and then we can get back and get some rest.
About this time we heard that Suvla had been evacuated on the night that we'd come back up to the front. Anzac had also been cleared, but Cape Helles was being kept active. The evacuations had taken the Turks a bit by surprise, I think, and they didn't seem able to take advantage yet. But my thought was that they had only one force of enemy troops left, us. And I feared the worst, because it meant that all their attention and reinforced lines could now be brought to bear on us. Christmas Eve, just after midday, and the Turks suddenly opened up with a terrific bombardment. It felt like they were throwing everything they had at us, and with their recent reinforcements, they had plenty. Their focus seemed to be on the part of the line in which we were holding. We got shelling, broomstick bombs and heavy mortars, which were something they'd just started using against us. We called them coal boxes, because they exploded in a cloudy, horrible black smoke. A new arrival at the front, courtesy of the increased German supply lines. Most of the heavy stuff seemed to land on the reserve and support areas behind us. Hammering continued for about an hour and a half before it then eased off a wee bit, but still carried on for the rest of the night. Despite all the bombardment we took that time, we had surprisingly few casualties, thank God. When it had eased off a good bit, Mr. Montgomery came and got me, and we went round to check on the bombs that we had held in reserve in the various stores we'd placed around the support and reserve trenches. Somebody wanted to know how many we had available and how long they would last us. This involved us going round and checking out about 6 different bomb stores, which took us about 3/4 of an hour, which was long enough for us to have 2 near misses for coal boxes, which exploded close enough to shower us with muck and debris. On one of the times, we heard one coming in, and since we both knew for the noise that it was going to be close, we both ducked and dived for cover, and we banged our heads together, which is the only time I ever struck an officer.
Oh, good God, Barclay! That hurt! You could be court-martialed for that, you know.
Sorry, sir. At least I've still got a heat to be court-martialed.
True enough, Barclay, true enough. Don't make a habit of it.
Having just escaped a potential court-martial, I got back to my bunk hole to find 2 troopers for the firing line inspecting it and poking around what was left of it. It had taken a hit for a shell, and everything I had left in there was buried except my waterproof sheet, which had been blown out and over into the firing line, which is what had caused the troopers, who didn't know that I was off on a run with Mr. Montgomery, come round to see what had happened to me. By this time, it was pouring down with rain again, and I moved house about 20 yards away, under the shelter of an overhead traverse which would give me some cover for the downpour. There weren't any other troopers within about 20 yards of me, with the exception of one dead body which was laid out in the floor of the trench just the other side of my new home.
Well, my friend, don't know about you, but I'm ready to curry down and get some sleep. It's a night. I've been nearly blown up, hit an officer and got away with it, and then I come back and find my grand lodgings have been blown up and all my stuff's buried under a few feet of muck. So if you don't mind, I'll just move in here for the night. What's that? Wipe my feet before I step on the gid rug. Aye, okay then, I will. Don't you worry. You get some rest now as well, pal. Good night to you.
My roommate wasn't really one for chatting though, and I was a bit restless with no company. So after I woke up for the umpteenth time about 11 o'clock, I gave in and went up nearer the firing line, where I could get some more chatty company. As it turned out, it was a lucky move for me. My temporary home took a shell out of itself before the night was done, and it was blown to bits.
For the proud sons of Ayrshire, in this muck they're lying, the list is sailing, for the families crying. Can somebody tell me, for what were they dying in the bloody red mud that's beyond Sublime? For we're all in the mud, and we're kneeling and praying. If you poke up your feet, you could jolly well be staying. If I ever get paid, there'll be many still laying in the bloody red mud that's beyond Sublime.
In Boswell'S Galloping Farmers, Sandy Barclay was played by Martin Gallagher and young Sandy by Lorenzo Novani. Mark Coleman was Lieutenant Montgomery. The men and officers were played by Taylor E. Blades, Kenny Burnham, Graeme Cobb, Robert Donaldson, Euan Galbraith, Frazer Kirkland, Graham Korn, Iain McAleese, Derek Crawford Munn and William M. Watson. The song, The Gallipoli Waltz, was composed and performed by Martin Gallagher. The music was arranged and performed by David Simpson. Boswell'S Galloping Farmers was based on the memoir of Sandy Barclay, edited by Rob Close and William M. Watson. The play was written by Jill Korn and Martin Gallagher. Our sound engineers were John Boyd, recording at the Hospital Broadcasting Studios, Glasgow, and Terry Merrick at Origin Studio Dublin. Sound design was by John Boyd.